Bruh, I don't give a fuck. You think I give a shit about that, ladies and gentlemen? I want you to stare at that screen right now. Stare. Really, I want you to read it. Read all of it, bruh. The Rift for Tome 4 will close on October 7th. I want you to read that text, really soak it in, and then answer the question. Do you think that I give a fuck about that? So, does anybody really care about that? So, about the Rift closing? Anybody? It's awful. Player satisfaction survey. I actually need to do that to tell them how bad the game is. I always do those. So I'll take care of that in a second. After this, I'm sure. Okay, boys. You see the title of this video. I've always wondered something, ladies and gentlemen. We all know that behavior's bad game design is just like the thing holding this game back from being greatness, right? Like, for example, the concept of a filler perk. I mean, really think about this, bruh. Really think about this. Should a perk really be filler? Like that new perk for survivors, Visionary. Like, what the hell's that gonna do? How is that ever gonna impact the meta? Like, at all? What was that gonna do? For real. I want to know what that perk was gonna do. No, it was gonna do nothing.
Impact them.
It was gonna do nothing because the perk is shit, and it can't actually fucking like do anything. What a shit perk that is, bro. So Behavior has been releasing filler perks for a while now. The only issue with them is that instead of filler, they accidentally messed up because they put all the filler perks in the killer perks section. Which, I mean, it's just one letter, bruh. I understand Dave Richards can't read, but like, for God, that one little mistake has cost us like 20 perks that are just horrible and need to be relooked at. So, without further ado, grab yourself a cold beverage. I got my Coca-Cola right here, bro. Let's open it for the... Never gets any worse to hear, bro. Shut up, Demogorgon. Let's go over every crappy killer perk in this game and how to fix it. Let's just on a random Wednesday night, guys, we are gonna prove to Behavior what we knew all along, that we can fix their game in just 1 fucking second. Let's fix the game. Want to? So how do we fix this game? Well, we start with the first perk. A Nurse is Calling. Oh wow, that's a good perk, Behavior. You guys are just so lucky that one of the best perks in the game just happens to start with A. So it like, Nurse is Calling does not set the standard for perks, ladies and gentlemen. Nurse is Calling can obviously stay the way it is. Let's move on. Agitation. Agitation, Magic. See, Magic's agitated. I'm agitated too, bruh. Okay, now a lot of killers admittedly like this perk. I don't get it. I don't see the appeal. I think this perk is bad, but a lot of killers like this perk, so I didn't buff it that hard. The only buff that I gave it was give it Mad Grit's effect, where it pauses the wiggle meter when you hit somebody with it. Because this is the only perk when you're carrying a survivor that's realistically good at hitting people. Sorry, Mad Grit. So like, hitting somebody and then still having the speed necessary to make a hook is actually, again, the best on this perk. So the best thing you could do for agitation is to like give it that effect, I think, and then I think the perk would be at a much better spot. It's just not very good. It's too niche. It's too niche. I think it's not very good. Demogorgon, I'm gonna have to ask you to shut the fuck up. Let's get the blight on here, dude. Okay, Bamboozle. Okay, I hate Bamboozle. I hate Bamboozle, bro. I think Bamboozle is like utterly fucking useless because you have to vault. But Okay, so what do we do to it? The biggest issue with Bamboozle is that you can only block one at a time. So like you can't even use it at TLs or anything that might be useful. Tile Linkage destroys this perk, and the Vault doesn't help. But so I gave it a buff. I removed the Vault speed because that really doesn't help at all, and remove the once per window clause. Just every window blocked by it has 16 seconds that it's blocked. And that's all you really have to do to it. It's still not going to be very good, but it's just not very good in general. So, barbecue chili, it's fine. Just leave it. It's obviously one of the best we have, so let's leave it alone. Beast of Prey, motherfucker. Now we're getting into the real dog crap. Beast of fucking Prey? Beast of Prey is one of the worst perks in this game, ladies and gentlemen. What a piece of shit. What a piece of fucking dog crap. Alright, listen to this. Grants the undetectable. Oh, undetectable. That's good. Undetectable status effect after gaining bloodlust. The status effect is removed once you lose bloodlust. Oh. Oh. Wow, that's fucking trash. Okay. Oh, that's pretty underwhelming. So, how are we fixing this shit? Well, here's what we're doing, boys. So what's the rosy buff? How do we rosify this perk and make it good? So the heart of this perk is the undetectable, right? You're doing something with undetectable. Okay, here's my plan. Grants the undetectable status effect if no chase has taken place for 50, 40, 30 seconds, and the undetectable status effect lasts until the chase starts. There you go. That's good. So like basically, if the survivors are trying to stealth you out early game, you just get free undetectable. No, not even that. Just 15 seconds after blood. And I mean that'd be all right too. But like I like this better. It would help with the early game. If you haven't got it in a chase within 30 seconds, you get undetectable until it happens. So enough of these cancerous survivors just stalling the game and just waiting. Get you a free undetectable boost. That should arguably be a base mechanic. Like if there's no, like the survivors need to be punished for just sitting around and doing nothing, because right now 4-man calm has the ability, if they really wanted to just stall the game out for as long as they want and never even do anything. So that's the shit we gotta get rid of. I think Beast of Prey would work way better with this, because it would actually have a purpose and a function, whereas right now it doesn't do anything. And that bloodlust, I don't like it triggering on bloodlust because it's a time commitment. It's a time commitment for a shitty effect of 15 seconds of undetectable. That doesn't do jack shit for you, bruh. That doesn't help. So if you just make it so after 30 seconds of not chasing anybody, you get it till you chase somebody, it would just help confuse the survivors. Make Object of Obsession less of a pain in the ass. There's a lot that would actually do that its current effect doesn't do. Trash. Bitter Murmur, ladies and gentlemen. Each time a gen is fully repaired, survivors within 16 meters of the completed gen will be revealed for 5 seconds. And then after the last gen is powered, all auras are revealed for 5, 7, 10 seconds. Okay. Alright, that's not very good. It's not very good because they're popping gens on you, and that's not very good. Let's make this perk better. Alright. The only thing you have to do to make this perk better is when a generator pops, you can keep or delete its other effect. I don't care, except for when the final gen's revealed, or when the final gen pops, all survivors are revealed. That stays. You can either replace this effect, replace the other effect with this one, or just stack them on top of each other. Here's what I would do to Bitter Murmur. Add an aura reveal to all survivors working on gens at the time of that gen popping. Because sometimes you're too far across the map when Bitter Murmur goes off, and then you don't get anything from it. If there's a survivor closer to you on a gen and you just get a free aura reveal on them, you would be able to go over there and stop the next generator from popping, which is what your only goal is at this point in the game. Because when that gen pops, you don't need to know who is working on it. It's already popped, it's done. if you can use Bitter Murmur to save a different gen from popping, then the perk might actually be fucking usable for something. But until it's usable for anything, it's just gonna sit in your box and never see any play. Because who runs Bitter Murmur, bruh? Blood Echo, I actually like Blood Echo, so I left that one alone. Blood Echo's okay. Just leave it. It causes exhaustion, it's a dead hard counter, it does something. So, Blood Echo's fine. Blood Warden. Oh, Blood Warden. Magic's favorite perk ever. Magic's favorite perk ever. Okay. Blood Warden's not good enough. I'm gonna spit some straight facts with y'all. Blood Warden's not good enough. Its biggest counter is 99ing the gates. So, it needs a little bit something. It needs a little something to, deal with that. The thing that I would do to Blood Warden is, if the gates are not open upon being hooked, it blocks the exit gate for 20 seconds. And that is not once per game. So if they just don't open the gates, they continuously get countered. The gate can be continuously blocked off. So, and then once the gate's open, then you can do its real effect, which is blocking the gate for 60 seconds. So it's got to do something about countering that 99 in the gate. 99 in the gate just shreks it, and you'll never see it. If the survivors you're playing against are actually not trash, you'll never see Blood Warden go off, and that's just a fact. Unless you open the gate yourself, but what are you doing that for? So you have 20 seconds on a hook, and it lasts until at least one gate's open. Once one gate's open, then its real effect goes off, and then the perk shuts off. Until then, though, it blocks all gates for 20 seconds after every hook. The one thing that this perk would also help with is that the exit gate opens too fast, bro. That's another thing that gets done really, really fast in this game. There should just be a little more towards 20 seconds. That's how long it takes to open the gate, right? Like 16 seconds. Like the gens will pop, and then the gate will be open like 10 seconds. Never mind. Moving on. That's the buff I give the Blood Warden. Bloodhound. I actually like my new Bloodhound. Okay, so what's the old one do? What's up, everybody? We're not nerfing every good killer perk. I'm making all the bad ones good, my guy. Listen to this one, guys. Listen to this one. Bloodhound. I really like this one. Fresh blood stains are considerably more discernible than normal can be tracked. Okay, you can take or leave that. I don't care. How about this? All injured survivors. When you hit them, all injured survivors suffer the oblivious status effect until healed, so no borrow time. I think that's fair. If it's really too good, and that's too OP for survivors to deal with, you could put a timer on it for like 40 seconds or whatever, like 30, 35, 40, if that's really too good. But how hard is it to just ask you to go heal? Here's one thing I want changed in this game. You'll see that throughout this. Being injured has got to get worse. Right now, with all the Iron Wills and all the Dead Hards and all the Inner Strengths and all, like, not even Inner Strength, just the Iron Will and the Dead Hards, those are the two main perks. And sounds being really bad for killer in general. Being injured is just not anywhere near as punishing as it is right now. A big theme that I want in this game to keep going is, especially with Thana being nerfed and all this crap, being injured is just not good enough in this game, bruh. We'll get the Strider, bro. So yeah, I want every fucking being injured needs to be bad in this game. It does. So one of the ideas by making Bloodhound apply Oblivious upon basic attacks is just to make people have to go heal. Just make it have to happen. And it would only apply on basic attacks, so no plague nonsense. Well, you could still do it if you hit the guy first, but upon being one thing you'd have to do though is upon becoming broken, that's different, and it would go away. So you couldn't just like hit somebody with the plague and then have them oblivious the whole game. You can't do it until they cleanse. You couldn't do that. But make Bloodhound do something other than nothing. I don't know. I think it'd be cute. I think it's a cute little buff. Next, I have Brutal Strength. We're just going in alphabetical order. The best buff for Brutal Strength that I heard, a very lazy buff would just be to buff its numbers. You could do that. I feel like that's a lazy buff, though, so I tried not to just do that unless it really called for it. But the best Brutal Strength buff suggestion I heard was allow the killer to actually cancel their pallet break animation. In the same way that you could cancel a gen kick, it would just add a little bit more mind game to the perk. Instead of just, you get 15% faster gen kicks, it'll just allow the killer to cancel it. And the survivor will leave the tile, you cancel, and then move, and then you got him before the tile linkage. I think that'd be fun. Not a lot to say about that one, but it's a simple buff, but it would add so much dynamic to the perk, I think. Corrupt Intervention, that perk is obviously fine as is. Chlorophobia, oh boy. Oh boy, guys. Talk about bad perks. This is one of the worst perks in the game. Okay, survivors within your tear radius have a 30, 40, 50% penalty to the healing progression speed. Okay. That doesn't really do anything for you, because who the fuck is going to be healing in your tear radius? The only, like, seriously, who's going to heal in your tear radius, especially when the little chlorophobia icon comes up at the bottom of the screen? Who the fuck's going to be healing? What guy that's not under the age of, like, 12 is going to actually still heal when that icon goes off? So, just get rid of that. Just fuck it. This perk needs a complete rework. And my idea for it, so it's a tear radius perk, right? So we have to do something with the tear radius. Okay, so here's my change. Upon a successful basic attack that only injures a survivor, it has to be a basic attack that puts them from healthy to injured. Any survivor within the tear radius lets off a scream notification. It's an infectious fright that only works if it's healthy to injured on basic attacks. That's what I do to it. That is what I would do to it. Just make it so that way, like, if you're chasing someone really good, you could whack them, injure them, and then maybe the injured guy will give off a noise notification that you can then transfer over and then down that guy. It would be good for finding weaker and exposed survivors when you're dealing with a strong one. That's what I would do with it. It would also just increase your map pressure and give you increased map awareness, which is what killers like Clown actually have to. They need that. It would be a good information perk, good for making selections with targets. It would do something. It wouldn't be terrible, which is what it is right now. Terrible. A lot of these perks are just fucking diggity dog shit right now, bro. That's what I do. I don't know. What do you guys think? Got a good change for it? It's a complete departure from its old effect, because its old effect is doo-doo. I'm sure Scott Jun thinks it's OP, but we're not here. We're not Scott Jun, bro. Cruel Limits. That's what we're doing now. From one of the worst perks in the game to another one of the worst perks in the game. Buffing Cruel Limits is actually so easy. Buffing Cruel Limits is actually so easy, and I don't know why it hasn't been done yet. And the buff it's getting is, like, really bad and not going to do anything for it. Because the buff Cruel Limits needs... If you want to make Cruel Limits a good perk, here is what you do. The generator pops, and then all windows that are 32 meters of the killer's location are blocked off. Not the gens, the killer. I don't understand how this is so hard in 2020. Maybe the killer would like to be near where the windows are blocked off, huh? Maybe? I think that's what would be good. And you just, the rest of it stays completely the same for the next 30 seconds. And, yeah, that's all you need to do. But just change where it's happening. Because right now, if the gem pops halfway across the map, you don't get shit out of this stupid perk. And the damn thing is terrible and useless. However, if it's where the fucking, if it's where the damn killer is, if it's where we are, we can actually do something with it and punish people. Especially if they're at a stupid tile that has a window near it, like the Groaning Storehouse. The perk would be fucking usable. Alright, moving on. Dark Devotion. I actually like this perk. This is another perk I actually really like, and it also grants what I believe is the highest printed number of undetectable in the game, which is 30 seconds. But here's where me and Behavior differ. Alright, Behavior seems to think that 16 seconds of undetectable is like really busted and like worth a cooldown of 60 seconds, like Pyramid Head. With Dark Devotion, they obviously think that 30 seconds is okay because it only triggers when you hit one guy. I think 30 seconds of undetectable is actually really balanced. So I don't think Dark Devotion needs to be an obsession perk anymore. I think it should be a perk. It should be a normal perk with a cooldown versus an obsession perk and no cooldown. When you hit somebody with a basic attack, you get undetectable for 30 seconds, and then you get a cooldown of I believe it's 60 seconds. You get whatever Trail of Torment's cooldown buff is. Because remember, Trail of Torment could potentially give you like 45 seconds of undetectable now. 45 seconds to a minute. And Trail of Torment's cooldown... Trail of Torment's cooldown is 60 seconds. So all undetectable status effects perks should now follow the standard and have 60-second cooldown. Dark Devotion is no different. Have to hit somebody with a basic attack, 30 seconds of undetectable, 60-second cooldown. I think it would be really neat. There's a lot of gimmicky stuff you could do with it because of the fact that your tear radius transfers over to the survivor. So like, if Doctor lets off a static blast while somebody is under Dark Devotion's influence, the tear radius the static blast comes from the survivor, which is really, really odd and really gimmicky. And making that more accessible might give the Doctor some really weird jank. Oh, it's an interesting perk. It's always been an interesting perk. I think making it more accessible is its best bet because the effect's actually underrated. If you just make it a bit more accessible, it might do something. Alright, Dead Man Switch. Another shitty obsession perk that doesn't need to be an obsession perk. The fact is that Dead Man Switch is only synergizes with two things in the game, and that would be Prayer Beach Spirits and Class Photo Freddy. The rest of the killers on the roster don't really have enough map pressure to do anything with it. I guess Demo might be able to, Demogorgon might, the Blight might, Hillbilly might, maybe Oni, maybe. But I'm just spitballing here, being really... Maybe the Hag, too. But like, just really spitballing here. There's not a lot you can do with it unless you're those characters. And again, unless you're Prayer Beat Spirit or Freddy, you can't do it much with it anyway. So, it doesn't need to be an obsession perk that's limited like this. It's not that good. So, what you do to it is you give it a... You give it a cooldown of 40 seconds to make it no longer an obsession perk. Every time you heal somebody, anybody that gets off a gen, the gen's blocked for 45 seconds. You give it a cooldown of 40 seconds, which is Surge's cooldown, by the way. I think that's what you do to it. Make it a bit more accessible, and maybe the killers that don't use it before could actually kind of use it now because they're getting it more often. Whereas, like, if you're only seeing it, like, obviously you'd be running this in some kind of gimmicky Nemesis build, so you wouldn't have to take up 2 of your perk slots to run a stupid perk that's not very good anyway. What, you're giving up two perk slots for this when Ruin Undying is better? So, I really don't get this perk's design. This is like horrible game design, TBH. One of the perks that exemplifies why Behavior is really bad at games is this one right here. It's trash. It's just trash. It still wouldn't be very good if you gave it this buff, but it would be more usable. Especially toward the end of the game. If gens are a little closer together. Next, Deathbound. I'm of the opinion that Deathbound sucks and is garbage. I know, I guess Behavior doesn't see my point of view because they haven't buffed the stupid thing yet. They haven't buffed this awful perk. It's still just as bad as it was on release, and I'm never gonna run this crap. Because here's the fact, the Oblivious status effect is not good enough on this perk. It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything for you. Oh, what? The guy's gonna heal, get off a screen. Let me tell you people something. The only good thing about Oblivious in this game is the fact that it gets rid of borrowed time. That's the only good thing about Oblivious. So if your Oblivious status effect isn't solely dedicated to negating borrowed time, you're not doing this right. So, since Deathbound doesn't really help deal with borrowed time, it's not doing its job, and therefore you can change it up. Alright. So, what you do to this is you give it a Dragon's Grip effect. Yeah, I said that. When a survivor heals somebody outside of 32 meters for at least one full health state, they scream, become exposed for 60 seconds, and the perk, you'll give the perk a cooldown, because now it can do something for you. Somebody screams, your doctor, or all-seeing blood wraith, you can run over right to the motherfucker, and then ding, 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 and down him. And then, since Behavior has released Dragon's Grip, we now have what their analysis is on decent perks that actually give off exposed, and their cooldown for that is 80 seconds. So you'd slap on an 80-second cooldown on Deathbound instead of having it. You know the perk was going to be bad the second that they said it doesn't have a cooldown, because unless you're Infectious Fright, that doesn't really work. The activation condition's really silly, but like, fucking 60 seconds of an exposed status effect, that makes the perk way more worth it. That makes it way more worth it. And also, it's 32 meters away, so it's not, so that means it's not tied to your terror radius, which means the self-killers can use it. So, like, Myers could use it, Wraith, All-Seeing Blood can use it. The perk has way more utility and way more synergy without the Oblivious status effect, so you don't fucking need it. It's garbage. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. It's terrible. Deer Stalker, boys. Okay. Deer Stalker reveals the auras of dying survivors within standing at 28, 36 meters. Okay, niche and specific, so you know that's not good, but we'll keep that effect because I like it. It's doing something. Here, my changes to it are this: reveal the aura of any survivor with birds, and as well as make all survivors within 16 meters of the people with birds. And you'll also make the actual time for getting birds more strict. So I don't know what the actual numbers are, I just know it's way too goddamn long. Way too goddamn long. So, what you do, make Deer Stalker do what it's doing now, and if the survivor gets birds, then you get their aura. None of this it's a kind of an endgame perk, so none of this stupid like bird shit. People stealthing each other out, hiding in lockers, just get rid of that shit. Make Deer Stalker much better at securing the 4K than it is right now. Because right now it's only good for one thing, dealing with the slug guy. Now, there's another thing I want to talk about with birds later with Spies from the Shadows, which you could just use that, transfer that effect over to it, then I don't know what you do with Deer Stalker, but we'll deal with that later. Discordance is obviously high tier, close to meta, so we'll leave that can stay. Distressing, boys. I had fun with this one. So, Distressing's main effect is that your terror radius is increased by 22, 24, 26 meters, right? Okay, that's fun. That's already used in some gimmick stuff. Impossible Skill Check, Doc uses it. Legion could use it. There's characters that already do stuff with that perk. Not a whole lot, so you can give it a buff, but it's cute. It's cute. So my changes for it would that be staying within the terror radius too long. I don't know. I haven't really decided what that is yet. Staying within the terror radius too long begins granting status effects, including exhaustion, hindered, hemorrhage, exhaustion, hindered, hemorrhage, blindness, and also has a chance to make the survivor scream. So if they're just sitting in your terror radius, again, not doing anything and not respecting your presence, there's a chance their precious dead hard might get negated. There's a chance that they could actually get hindered and lose movement speed. Hemorrhage and blindness would obviously be your duds on the die roll, but it's kind of an RNG perk where you have a 3 out of 5 chance of something actually pretty decent happening. Hindered, obviously, We have to change that to where it's staying within the terror radius too long without being in a chase, because you couldn't just I wouldn't want them to just get cheesed by being within the terror radius in a chase. Then they get hindered. That's kind of silly. So it'd be without being in a chase. It'd be kind of like stakeout for killers almost in a weird kind of way. But yeah, it just get like a slot machine of stackable debuffs and status effects. That'd be kind of cute. That'd be kind of cute. The best one obviously being exhaustion, because again, this game needs more reliable exhaustion deal counters. Dragon's Grip is fine, leave it alone. Dying Light. I like Dying Light. I still like Dying Light and genuinely think it's underrated, but it does have some issues. The biggest issue Dying Light has is the altruism buff against the obsession. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. There's no excuse for that anymore in 2020, especially with desperate measures coming into the game. And what else is in the game now? We're Gonna Live Forever just got a buff where it fucking increases the healing speed. There's no need for this silly buff on the obsession anymore, so get rid of that. And then at the beginning of the trial, you see the obsession's aura for 5 seconds. I think that's fair, because the obsession's the one you don't want. So you could go start the chase with the obsession, but you wouldn't get a benefit from Dying Light's other effects if you down them first. So, like that'd be good, because you could slap that on fucking Hillbilly or Blight and just dash right over there, and then Perk would and start your chase immediately, or Doctor, and then go Static Blast to see if there's anybody else. It'd actually be really solid on the Doctor. So like giving Dying Light this new effect would one, help the early game, help the Perk out where it struggles the early game, deal with Oatsvara's counterpoint against it, which it doesn't do anything for you early game, and then synergize with certain killers' powers enough to actually be better on certain killers other than others. So it would be very solid if you did this to it. And again, get rid of that buff. It's so outdated, so garbage. It doesn't need to be here anymore. Enduring, although Enduring is a bit underwhelming, it's alright. Just leave it. I think it's a bit underwhelming myself, but some killers like it. Okay, Fire Up. Fire Up, lads. Fire Up. Wait, listen to this crap. This is also one of the worst fucking perks in the game. The increased pressure of losing your prey fills you with anger and gives you unsuspected motivation. Each time the survivors complete repairs on a gen, Fire Up grows in power. For each generator completed, gain a stackable 3.54% buff to picking up, dropping pallets. Dropping? That's weird. It gives you a buff to your drop animation. Like, what the hell does that mean? Dropping, pallet breaking, breakable wall breaking, generator damaging, and vaulting. Like, that doesn't do anything, bruh. Okay, so this perk is trash. Here's my Fire Up. Alright, my Fire Up is this. You get a token for every gen completed, right? But you get a stackable buff, so you get a token. Each token gives a, I haven't really decided this number. My loose number is 2%, but maybe 1 or 1.5. But, well, we'll just go with 2% for right now, because this perk is bad right now, right? 2% buff to your movement speed, and that's all it gives you. Screw the pallet breaking, screw the picking up, the draperable wall breaking, the generator opening, all that shit. Just give me 2% buff to movement speed for every gen that gets done. That way, if they get all 5 done, Freddy will be moving at 125. And Spirit will be at 120. Deathslinger and Shitslinger will be at 120. We'll actually have more movement speed. And then, additionally, Whenever a gen pops, the next time you kick a gen after one is completed, applies 10% regression to that gen. It applies a 10% fucking 10% regression. It would do something. It would help the killer move, help them snowball, because if like it help you late game a whole bunch, and then actually help you get like a mini Pop Goes the Weasel on a 3-gen, which could really like stopping a gen that's almost done by 10%, downing somebody and getting a pop could actually really save you. It's interesting. It's certainly a lot better than this version, and I don't know why we have to have fucking bad perks in this game. So I think that would be really nice. Maybe that movement speed might be a little bit silly, but yeah, you could obviously. I have a lot of suggestions for movement speed perks, so it would obviously stack with all them. So you could lower that to 1%. I'm negotiable on that, but get this in the game because the fire up we have fucking sucks titties. It's trash, and I don't like it. Forced pendants. I already talked about this one last stream. Talked about how it's trash and how I'd fix it, and how I'd fix it is exactly what I'm having here. Instead of protection hits, any like hit that's not a basic attack applies the broken status effect. So a fucking pyramid head, punishment of the damned, a blight lethal rush, a huntress hatchet, a legion stab, a pig lunge, a Billy chainsaw, Bubba chainsaw. Everything else I think counts as a basic attack, so it wouldn't even affect that many killers. But like, it would do something. It would be really effective on Legion because he could run around and stab you, and give you a free Legion pin, and it would just be really neat. The perk would do something and not be terrible. Franklin's Demise is okay. It's not great, but it's all right. I left it alone. Furtive Chase. Okay, you want to talk about over design? You want to talk about shitty over design? You want to talk about shitty over design? Furtive Chase, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to this shit. Listen to how complex this garbage is. Alright, so it says when your obsession is hooked, Furtive Chase receives a token up to 2, 3, 4. What's 4? Each token decreases your terror radius by 4 meters while in a chase. So the obvious buff you can do here is just make it say not in a chase, so you can actually get some nice patrolling. So you can reduce your if Myers ran this and it said not in a chase, you could turn tier 2 into nothing. But it's so specific, it's just not worth it. When the survivor rescues the obsession from the hook, the rescuer becomes the obsession. You lose all tokens if the obsession is sacrificed and killed. What complex game design for a shitty effect that doesn't do anything. Alright, so here we go. When a hooked survivor is rescued in your 30, here's my version, okay? Get rid of the obsession mechanic on it, it's not needed. When a hooked survivor is rescued and you're 32 meters away, gain a token up to 5 instead of 4. Each token is a 1% increase to movement speed. Lose a token when a survivor is sacrificed. Alright, so basically in the mid-game, late game, you'd have an extra 5% movement speed on your side. Again, you could stack this with Fire Up, which if you made Fire Up 1, you could have an additional 9% movement speed going into those final gens. If you just gave Fire Up 1, that's what you could do. So you could turn Spirit into a 119% movement killer, which would actually be pretty solid. Well, I mean, Spirit doesn't need it. This would be pretty decent on killers that can't fucking move, like the Legion or Myers or I guess Clown. Hey, Lars, what's up? We're fixing all these shitty perks. I'm on Furtive Chase. It's so needlessly complex for no reason. And then when a survivor is sacrificed, you lose 1 token. That is in the spirit of the original perk. Which is if the obsession took, you lose all your tokens. So I kept it. If you lose 1 token if you sack a survivor. So yeah, it'd be a gimmicky movement speed stackable. Oh boys, Gearhead, what a piece of shit. Every time I think about Gearhead, all I think, well no, 1% buff on Vandal. Yeah, I saw that coming, bruh. I exactly predicted that. Go back to my video. I exactly predicted that. That's I took 1% and used for my theoretical math for what they would do to it. A gearhead. So the current gearhead, obviously everybody knows it's that after hitting a survivor 2 times with your basic attack, gearhead activates for 30 seconds. Each time a survivor completes a good skill check while repairing a gen, that gen's revealed in a yellow aura for as long as it's being repaired. Alright? Terrible. Terrible. It was the only good perk from Deathslinger's PTB, and they nerfed it for no reason, and then released Undying, didn't nerf it, which is way better than this. I don't understand these devs. But anyway, so forget it. My gearhead's a complete my gearhead is a complete rework. My gearhead is for the first 2 minutes of the trial. Every time a survivor completes a good skill check on a gen, the gen's highlighted in yellow. That's all you need to do to fucking fix this perk. Make it an early game perk. It's active for 2 minutes at the beginning of the game. Whenever they hop on a gen, it'll tell you exactly where you need to go. It'll start the game early, get the game moving. It'll be a corrupt intervention alternative. It'll be a lot more silent, so they won't know that it's that perk that's getting them. But yeah, that's all. I think it'd be a lot more silence. The survivors might not know what you're doing. They might not know if you have discordance or this. Like they won't be able to. It's interesting. And then the last thing that I gave is yeah, good for split gen. And then the last change I gave it was if there's no chase that happens for 1 minute, the perk reactivates. So if they're trying to like stealth you out mid game or something, like it would reactivate for those final few gens. I think it's better. I'm not sure. Again, not every perk is designed to be meta, but they're just designed to be better than their behavior versions, because I want to one-up behavior any way that I can. I think my gearhead is way better than their gearhead. Because their gearhead, like, you hit two hits, your plays are already kind of working, and, like, barbecue would be doing its job, kind of. Like, there's no... It infringes on barbecue territory, even with... Like that's why I don't like this gearhead, because like if you, I mean, you could be applying split pressure, sure, but like if you're downing somebody with 2 basic attacks and then you hook them and so gens in yellow, you would have seen them with barbecue or thrilling tremors anyway. So like it's like the 3rd best perk in its own niche, which is really bad. So by moving its niche over to the early game, it will 1, make the early game better, and then 2, be another alternative to Discordance and Corrupt Intervention, which are the only 2 early game perks right now. Okay, Hangman's Trick, boys. You want to talk about shitty perks, bruh? This perk is terrible. Gain a notification when a survivor begins sabotaging a hook. While carrying a survivor, see the aura of any survivor within 2, 4, 6 meters of any hook. What this perk used to be when it was in PTB, bruh. What a good perk when it was in PTB. Like, fuck. It was like fucking fantastic and better than barbecue when it was in PTB. It was like, what was it, like 16 meters from the hook? Like, it was pretty damn good, bruh. Okay, so... obviously, it would be a cop-out to just bring that version back, although that's what I would do if I was, like, all-powerful in behavior. But here's what I came up with. I turn it into Lightborn, kind of. Sabotaging is just straight up no longer possible. If the survivor gets within 2, 4, 6 meters of any hook, their aura is revealed for 10 seconds. And then my last buff on it is that if a survivor gets their aura revealed by this effect, any other survivor within your terror radius gives off a scream notification. And the really sad part is, that still doesn't make it good. That still doesn't make it good. Because who the fuck is running this? Like, you'll see a sabotage like once every 10 games, so you're gonna be running this anyway, even with this effect. Because if they're running toolboxes, and then you like that's useless. Like it's still bad, but like at least if the effect goes off, it's fucking disgusting. If they even try, at least when you get this perk on a fucking like perk roulette Just run save the best for last. I mean, yeah, but like if you got maybe make this perk better in your gamble roulette. Obviously, if you could just bring its old effect back if you really want it to be good, but that's not happening. So that's what I came up with. I tried to like take behaviors design and like buff that instead of just completely reworking everything, except when it's completely necessary. Hex Blood Favor. When a survivor is hit with a basic attack, pallets within 16 meters. Oh, so basically, pallets that are like less than a sprint burst away after you hit the survivor are blocked. So you're not gonna get anything out of this. Like, why did Behavior think this was gonna be good? Like, they get a fucking free speed boost that like sends them 16 meters or close to it. So like, you'll never get this off. So, and also it has a cooldown. It replenishes. Yeah, that's better than the version that's there now, bro. Okay, so here is what I came up with. First of all, delete the cooldown. No hex perk should have a cooldown. What the hell is that? No hex perk in this game should have a cooldown. I don't like these perks are supposed to be so good because you can get rid of them upon cleansing them. That's how they're balanced. This perk never needed an additional thing to balance it. But that's very silly. So you get rid of that, and then just double the location. 32 meters. Make them actually have to be smart at tile transitions if you really want to avoid this. Because right now, survivors can just use the sprint burst and then use the distance that they have between you and them to get to a pallet that's not pulled down when you have this fucking garbage. So make the perk usable. And if that becomes too oppressive, you can bring the cooldown back. But I don't think the cooldown's necessary. I still think this perk, in my form, would be average at best, and still probably be one of the worst perks in the game if it went in the way I have it here. Especially if everything I have in gets added, that'll be a lot better. Yeah, seriously, Clown, if this perk was better, it was an instant buff for him. Devour Hope, I think we can like all agree Devour Hope is exactly where it needs to be right now. So I didn't touch that. Hex Haunted Ground, Haunted Ground's fine, it's where it needs to be. Okay, fucking Lullaby. Lullaby's getting a nerf, guys, you hear that? It's getting a nerf where it only affects gens and healing. So they nerfed Impossible Skill Check Doc because baby survivors didn't like it, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so when I was dealing with Lullaby, there's two solutions for Lullaby. Okay? This perk is bad. I think we can all agree this perk is bad, but it's not even bad because it's a hex. Well, I mean, okay, yeah, I mean, it's not very good anyway. But if you took the hex off, it would be better. It's not strong enough to be a hex. Hexes are supposed to be able to win you the game. Right now, this doesn't win you the game. So there's two ways you could buff it. One, make it no longer a hex so that it becomes usable. Or two, actually buff it enough to make it a hex. So I chose buff it enough to make it a hex. So here is what I came up with. Every skill check missed in the game reveals the aura of the survivor to the killer for 5 seconds, along with the noise notification. Alright? And upon missing, I have 10 right here, but maybe lower it. Upon missing 10 skill checks, a survivor can get moried. Maybe a little bit less, maybe 5. You could do 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. I don't know. Upon missing a certain number of skill checks, a survivor can be moried. There's my buff to Lullaby to make it a hex. That way, oh, you can fuck this perk can let you mori somebody. Okay, now it's a hex. And if they miss a skill check, you can go right over to them and see where they're going next. Yeah, that's a hex. Noed's alright. Noed's low-key a bad perk that can use some buffs, but we'll just leave it. Hex Retribution. Talk about one of the worst hexes in the game. Okay. Whenever a survivor cleanses a dull totem, they'll suffer from Oblivious. I remember this is what we talked about with Oblivious earlier, ladies and gentlemen. How the fuck does this help you deal with borrowed time? That's all Oblivious is good for. So how does it help you deal with borrowed time? Sounds like you want to make DBD an actual horror game, bro. I placed, yeah. Yeah, bro. Fucking let Huntress Mori somebody if they miss 7 skill checks, bro. Okay, so Oblivious does not help you deal with borrowed time, so it's useless. Okay? Well, yeah, no. The Hex Retribution doesn't help you deal with borrowed time. Obviously, Freddy would be good at doing this, or my Bloodhound suggestion. But, like, Retribution doesn't do it. Oblivious is not the status effect you give this perk. What's the status effect you give this perk? Easy. Exposed. Exposed. Any survivor that cleanses a dull totem becomes exposed for 45 seconds. Combine it with Undying, you can see their aura. Genius. You can see their aura when they're cleansing the dull totem. They cleanse it, they're exposed, you go right over to them. And it's not difficult, bruh. And then, like, that's all you would have to do to it, and then the perk's actually really scary in an Undying build. You run Undying and Retribution, and that's 3 exposes for 45 seconds. That's fine. That's actually really fair. You might have to run Ruin or something, so maybe only 2 exposes. But, I don't know. I just making it way more usable. Turns dull totems into traps. Okay, so that's my idea for Retribution. Certainly be better than what it is right now. Ruin. Ruin's fine. Leave it alone. Ruin's doing really well right now thanks to Undying. Leave it as it is. I told you about Ruin and Undying was going to be insane. Third seal. Here's where you put your Oblivious, ladies and gentlemen. Hitting a survivor with a basic attack applies blindness and Oblivious. There you go. That's your Oblivious Hex totem, because it stays until the perk is gone. You could slap that in an Undying build and it would be crazy. Undying and Hex the Third Seal by themselves, you're probably the best anti-borrow time thing in this entire game if you did that. Undying has opened the door for so much potential. So much potential, bruh. Well, all these buffs would help, Clown. But, so much potential here, dude. Because of Undying. So, you hit somebody with Blindness and Oblivious, with Hex the Third Seal, with your basic attacks. And then that helps deal with the borrow time, because that would help. See, and then let's talk about why it works on Third Seal and doesn't work on Hex Retribution. On Retribution, it only lasts for 45 seconds, and they have to do it to themselves. Alright, the main reason that it doesn't work is because they have to do it to themselves. If you do it to them, that's when Oblivious becomes usable. Especially since it's permanent until the totem lasts. GG, bingo! Bingo, boys. And they're all Oblivious until they get that totem, which means no borrow time on anybody until they get the Third Seal totem. There's a fucking Hex perk, ladies and gentlemen. It's just your anti-borrow time Hex. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be anything else. It doesn't even need the blindness. I'll let you have your chest, buddy. You can see that chest aura. You can see where the hook is. Go in. Go right ahead. And then, of course, Undying, if they get it, and then it moves, and then just that's all you need, bro. That 2 perk combination could win you a game. Undying and Third Seal. Undying and Third Seal, my Third Seal, the Oblivious status effect, that could win you a game. By itself. You don't even need other perks. Anti-DSA. That's what Unnerving Presence was, bro. A Hex Thrill of the Hunt. I gave Thrill of the Hunt a really complex rework. But let me explain why I gave Thrill of the Hunt a rework. I gave Thrill of the Hunt a complete rework. Again, I usually try to keep behaviors like general idea, but I decided to give this perk a rework because Undying does its job now. There's no reason to ever run Thrill of the Hunt anymore, because Undying transferring your Hex over means you don't need to, like, delay it anymore. You don't need Thrill of the Hunt's old effect anymore. You don't need it. So we buffed. I gave it a complete and utter rework, and then this is actually a bit insane. So Bruh, my cat just stepped on my computer, and now I'm all the way at the top again. Okay, so my thrill of the hunt's actually kind of insane. Okay, so my thrill of the hunt is this. So for each doll, so the original is for each doll and hex totem remaining on the map, gain a token. Survivor's cleansing speed is reduced by 4, 5, 6% for each token. All right, gain a notification when somebody works on a hex totem. That's their thrill of the hunt. My thrill of the hunt is this: each totem, doll or hex on the map is tied to one of these following effects. Brutal strength, enduring, bamboozle, spirit fury. Is that right? Did my cat get rid of one? Or is it all of them? I don't know. Did I have another one there? I don't even remember. I don't know if my cat just got rid of them. Okay, the point is, like, I guess it would be only be 4. Yeah, well, screw that. It's just those 4. Fire up. Did you see my fire up? You could add that, sure, why not? But it doesn't matter. Just brutal strength, enduring, bamboozle, spirit fury. Alright. When one of the doll totems is cleansed, you lose one of the effects, and if they get thrill of the hunt, all of them go away at once. So you would get a free spirit fury enduring built into your hex, as well as free window blocking, and then faster pallet destruction. And then, yeah, sure, you can add fire up to that. Oh no. But my last one was increased killer movement speed by 5%. That's what my last one was, not fire up. It's just my cat separated them. I see it now. So one total would have increased movement speed, one would have brutal strength, one would have enduring, one would have bamboozle, and the other would have spirit fury. And then yeah, and then you'd have to, I don't know how this is obviously a very complex rework, so I don't know how you would like indicate which one is being cleansed to the killer. But yeah, that's my, so like it would just, what this perk would do is it would give you like fucking 5 solid options, like increased movement speed, so Cloud would just go up to 120 just by existing, and then he would get spirit brutal strength, which is one of his best perks, space, enduring, bamboozle, spirit, like it would give you so much instead of doing nothing like it does right now. And again, if you get the thrill of the hunt hex, these all go away at once, obviously. That'd be a fucking hex perk right there, bruh. Free brutal, 3 spirit fury enduring. Wow. I'm such a generous killer main. Basically, I gave it a bunch of chase. Yeah, it works with the name Thrill of the Hunt. It gives you a bunch of chase perks. It gives you like 4. Everything about it helps you chase people. That's why I like it. It works with the name, and the original idea is kind of there. It's kind of there. Okay, so what's it? Hex Undying. Shoutouts to Hex Undying, bruh. Hex Undying is really helping this game right now. It's carrying the fucking Hex mechanic on its fucking back. I'm all ears. I like I'm all ears. It's fine. Leave it alone. Infectious Fright is obviously fine. Leave it alone. Insidious. Oh boy, Insidious. Everyone's favorite perk. Okay, so here's the current version of Insidious. Standing still for 4, 3, 2 seconds will grant you the undetectable status effect until you act or move again. Okay. Yeah, Undying's gonna get nerfed, I guarantee it. Okay, so the biggest problem with Insidious is you can't do anything with the undetectable it gives you because you're standing still. Okay? But at the same time, letting you do something with the undetectable, you could give it a like a cooldown. Like you could let you do undetectable for 60 seconds, and then you could let Insidious 2 seconds standing still. You get undetectable for 16 seconds, and then it goes on a Trail of Torment 60-second cooldown. You could do that. I disagree with that though. I don't think that's the buff for it. I think you give Insidious you just make the standing still take a bit longer. So my version of Insidious is you stand still for 20, 15, 10 seconds total. It stacks up. Like, it can be stored like Repressed Alliance, so you don't have to just stand 10 seconds. You can, like, stand 2 seconds during a mind game, start charging the perk a little bit, you know what I mean? Maybe, like, build some of it up while you, like, are standing over a guy before you pick them up. Like, there's ways to charge it up. And then, after you charge it up, it grants you undetectable for 16 seconds. So you could toggle it. Here's the idea. The idea is that you toggle the fucking thing and then deal with borrow time. Like, somebody's about to go make a hook rescue that you're about to stop. Bam, go undetectable, they unhook, borrow time happens, but it doesn't because you have Insidious, and then you down the guy and then keep going. It's a toggleable borrow time counter. That's the goal here. Being able to move while the undetectable is a thing, and then again toggling it to like 1 second. So like you see that, and boom, and again on Bubba that would be fucking insane. It would like Billy could make that work. A lot of killers could make that work. It still wouldn't be top tier meta OP, but it would at least be, you know, more usable than nothing. What it's doing right now. And all these perks are doing nothing right now, bro. That's my Insidious. Okay, Iron Grasp. Obviously, Iron Grasp is just Agitation's baby. It's not even Agitation's baby. Iron Grasp is Agitation's Down syndrome step cousin, and the perk doesn't do anything. It's healthier too. Yeah, I agree. Iron Grasp is Agitation's Down syndrome step cousin, and the two don't really get along very well. Okay, so here's what we're doing with that. The Iron Grasp, what it's gonna do now is we're gonna completely change the effect. You could keep its old effect. It doesn't really matter. Its other effects are this: reduces all stuns when you pick somebody up by 50%. So a decisive strike will turn into 3 seconds. It would bring 3-second DS back, which I think is really nice. 3-second DS would come back because of that. And if you were a flashlight, it would reduce the blind. It would reduce all the times you were stunned. But what about pallet stuns? Well, that's where the name Iron Grasp comes in. If pallet stuns no longer free survivors. You know how many times that they just get down right by a pallet, and then their SWF teammate comes in, you can't do anything about it, and they just slam the pallet on you, you had no counterplay to it, and then you can't do it because you're locked in an animation. Iron Grasp would just say, okay, no, you can't do that anymore. It's still niche, it still wouldn't be very good, but you would have the option. Might be a good option against SWF. I think that'd be solid. It would give the perk its own function away from Agitation. Agitation is obviously better at the whole transporting bodies part. So you let Agitation keep doing that. And then you let Iron Grasp be more about those stuns. Those pesky stuns that you get hit by. Flashlights, pallets, DS, etc. Reducing DS down to 3 seconds would be a nice... A perk to counter, we're gonna live forever. Slobby Butcher could do that. I don't know. We're gonna live forever is gonna be alright. That's what I would do to it. Iron Maiden. Here's another one that sucks shit. Okay, Iron Maiden. The current Iron Maiden is this. We're gonna open lockers 30, 40, 50% faster. Survivors who exit the lockers suffer from the exposed status effect for 15 seconds, and their locations revealed to 4 seconds. Ha. Oh. Okay, exposed. That's good. 15 seconds. Oh. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, no! Okay, so how do we fix this crappy perk? Okay. First thing that you do to it is make it so Iron Maiden no longer protects you from aura reveals. It makes it so, yeah, hiding in lockers no longer protects you from having your aura revealed. The ultimate way to say fuck you to people trying to counterplay your barbecue chili. So there you go. That's the first thing. It'll let you know who's trying to do that. And then you can go, and then the other thing it does is when they get out of the locker, 45 seconds of exposed. What the hell is this pussy 15 seconds bullshit? 45 seconds of exposed, and then you give it a cooldown of 60 seconds. There you go. That's what you do to it. should lock you. That'd be interesting too. That if you enter a locker, you come out injured. Wouldn't that just be the best fucking thing to inner strength users? They go into a locker, heal, and then pop out. Iron Maiden gets them injured again. That'd be funny. I think making sure that it doesn't protect them from barbecue anymore would be nice. And then the 45 seconds of exposed. I like that. I think that buff's solid. It would still be niche, but it would be less niche. Knockout. Okay, I think it's very safe to say that the new knockout isn't good enough. You'll think the devs know what Iron Maiden actually was. The devs don't know a lot of things, dude. All devs know how to do is buff Survivor. When I did this for Survivor, there's a lot more just leave the way it is. Okay, so obviously Knockout's not good enough. We all know that. The reason that Knockout's a problem is that it has no answer for SWF. Zero. SWF eats it alive. Okay, so how about this? Survivors put into the dying state. Here's what Knockout is right now. Survivors put into the dying state by your basic attack are not revealed to other survivors while standing outside of a 16-meter tear radius. I did. Well, it's not done yet. I have a few more to go. But yeah, I've already worked on this all day. My object of obsession nerf is massive. And for the next 15 seconds, the dying survivor is affected by blindness and then crawls 50% slower. Okay, so here we go. My knockout is this. Survivors put into the dying state. Notice we're just bringing back by any means. We're just bringing back any means. Fuck this basic attack shit. The perk isn't good enough for that. Survivors put into the dying state are not revealed, period. Upon getting back up, because SWF can help each other out with comms. And so they're not revealed, period. The survivor, upon getting back up, the survivor suffers exhaustion for 45 seconds. Fuck it. You could just leave it the way it is, because like the survivors put into the dice are not revealed. Yeah, you could just give it its 16 meters thing again, because the point of it would be less about hiding and more about the exhaustion status effect. Which again, there's not enough of those. There's not enough killer stuff that just gives exhaustion. So by making knockout like give exhaustion for 45 seconds upon being picked up, it would help deal with Dead Hard. Which I think would be really sick. Lightborn. My Lightborn my Lightborn change was simple. I just did the same thing to it that I did to Hangman's Trick. All survivors just within the tear radius of the flashlight give off a scream notification to the killer. Oh, in addition to the guy being revealed for 10 seconds, everybody else within the tear radius gives off a scream. That's all you do to it, bruh. Mad bitch. Mad grit, boys. What do you do to mad grit to make it good? Okay, so while carrying a survivor, you suffer no cooldown on missed attacks, and successfully hitting another survivor will pause the carried survivor's wiggle timer for 4 seconds. Okay? So we already discussed how I would give that effect to agitation, right? The 4 seconds of wiggle pause. We would give that effect to agitation, okay? Okay, what are we doing with Mad Grit? Okay, so the point of Mad Grit is that it's supposed to get every survivor, like, off of you, right? Like when they're body blocking the hook, it's a perk for that. Okay, how about this? All attacks done while carrying another survivor are instant downs. There you go. That way you could run agitation with Mad Grit and just run around and have everybody at a one-hit down. That'd be cute. That'd be cute. And then, wouldn't it be funny when they're all trying to body block the hook to where you pick them up, you have Mad Grit, you down them instantly, and then they all fucking scatter like beetles? The two other guys, like 2 other SWFs scatter like fucking flies, dude. That'd be funny as fuck. It would also, like, be a gamble, like, when they're trying to, like, use Breakout or some dumb shit. It's like, bro, if he has Mad Grit, I'm gonna go down and lose the game. So, like, a lot of those late-game situations where, like, they don't know what your last perk is, you could just reveal Mad Grit at the very end of the game when they're all trying to be rude to you, and then, oh, fuck, I'm instant downed. Oopsies. Now there's 2 of us on the hook, bruh. Now the killer just fucking tied or clutched out a win if there's 3 left. It would help the perk be more than, you know, nothing like it is right now and useless. Make your choice. I actually love make your choice alone. That would be pretty decent. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not about making everything meta. It's just about making it better than behavior. Make your choice I left alone. 60 seconds of exposed, 60-second cooldown. It's alright. It's not very good. You can buff it, but like, Wraith can use it. Billy can use it. Hag can use it. A lot of characters can actually use that. So we'll leave make your choice alone. Mindbreaker. One of the worst perks in the game, right? Yeah, this perk sucks, and we all know it sucks. So how do we make Mindbreaker better than it is right now? Okay, so, and we're buffing its new effect. Its new effect is 3, 4, 5, right? Yeah, that's not enough. Okay, so what you do to Mindbreaker is exhaustion for 10 seconds. 10. That way, it can counter dead hard and not just sprint burst. By making exhaustion counters more prevalent, it will make dead hard and all the exhaustion perks in general not as oppressive. Right now, these perks are only so oppressive because they have no options to be dealt with other than just eating them. And Blood Echo. If you give killers my options like my knockout, yeah, no 50%. That's next. The next thing after that 10%, you buff the 80% up to 80. That way, the perks synergize with Tinker. That way, when a Tinker gen goes off, you know that the Jet gen no longer has Mindbreaker. And you get undetectable and head over there and maybe even punish the 10 seconds of exhaustion while you can with a character like Hillbilly or Blight or Freddy Krueger. Or Demogorgon even. Demogorgon might be able to do that. Or the Oni. There's a lot of options there. A lot of synergy that new Mindbreaker I have brings to the table that's just not there right now. The only thing this fucking shitty perk does right now is deal with Sprint Burst. It's mainly going to be alright at dealing with Sprint Burst, but that's about it. Any good survivor, and like it actually even doesn't deal with Sprint Burst in a way, because like, just what every survivor wants, their Sprint Burst to be toggleable. That's how it doesn't even deal with Sprint Burst, because like, why would you want to toggle their Sprint Burst for them? It doesn't make any sense. So like, this perk is so going to be bad because all it does to Sprint Burst is toggle the fucking thing. It's just horrendous game design. It's horrendous in its current state. Its new state, its buff state, it's still horrendous. 10 seconds, so they have to genuinely outplay you to use their Sprint Burst, and 80%, so it's better and actually decent at dealing with exhaustion. If you gave it my buff, it might be one of the best exhaustion counters in the game. Possibly. But right now, it's just going to sit in your box and never get used. Much like the rest of this crap we're buffing. That's my Mindbreaker buff. Monitor and abuse. Monitor's perfect. Leave it alone. The field of view is nice, and the extra terror radius, and the decreased terror radius is nice. Next, Monstrous Shrine. Oh boy. Monstrous Shrine, ladies and gentlemen. This perk's trash. This perk is unusable garbage. Okay, so my Monstrous Shrine. So what's Monstrous Shrine? Well, hold on. First of all, what's Monstrous Shrine do right now? Basement hooks are granted the following bonuses: 9% entity progression, 15% increased difficulty on escapes, 9% increased penalty to escape fails. Only on basements. I shit better killer perks than that, bruh. Like, who thought that was okay? Who signed off on that, bruh? Who thought that was gonna be good? Terrible. Okay, here is what I do to here's my Monstrous Shrine. The very first thing you do to it is make its penalty, it's that 9% progression, you make that go to every hook on the map. Because why the fuck would it not? The whole map is your Monstrous Shrine, not just the basement. Stupid. The whole map is your Monstrous Shrine. So, and then you buff the number to 15% to actually put real pressure on the survivors. Buff that to 15%, and then to keep the idea of basement hooks being better, you make it 20% in the basement. And then the last thing you do to the perk is, where applicable, you make 2 basements spawn. Yep. Survivors just have way too much time to deal with it. So, like, that's what I do to it. Make it much worse. And then the next thing you do is, if somebody actually dies to Monstrous Shrine, you give that like a scoring event to help the killer's pip. Like, you got to kill with Monstrous Shrine plus 800 to your hooking score. That's what I would do to that. So just make it everywhere, make the basement ones go better, and make 2 basements spawn. And, like, just having that second basement option might be enough to win you a game. Like, how many times do you lose a game and then be like, wow, if only the basement had spawned here. And only the basement spawned in Shack this game. With Monstrous Shrine, you can make the basement actually spawn. Then you can actually use Territorial Imperative. Another perk we've buffed. Another perk I gave a massive buff to. So that's something you could actually do to make Monstrous Shrine not trash and actually be good at securing kills. Nemesis is alright. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's swapping the obsession. That's what it's supposed to be doing. Nemesis is fine. Leave it alone. Overcharge! Overcharge, boys. I think it's safe to say Overcharge is trash. Let's talk about why you can never make Overcharge good. There's a reason. There's a reason, boys. The reason that Overcharge will never be good is it revolves around the survivors missing a skill check. Now, obviously, there's gimmicks like Impossible Skill Check Doc that it works in. With Lullaby, it'll still be a problem. But, like, this perk will never be solid because it still relies on them making mistakes. So, you can't really buff it. So, here's what I came up with. My idea was just to make it more punishing if they actually screwed it up. Failing the Overcharge skill check will block the gen for 10 seconds. The gen is then revealed on white to all players. That's what I came up with. So if they miss the skill check, they can't just get back on the gen. It actually costs them even more time. So 5% regression out of, like, what, 100? I don't know. So, like, it'll be 5% and then they can't even touch it. So it would just be like if it had regressed even more. That's what I would do to Overcharge. It's still bad because they have to miss the skill check, but if they do miss the skill check, you'll get more reward. Next, Overwhelming Presence. Oh god, guys. Talk about garbage perks. Affected survivors' item consumption rates are increased by 80, 90, 100%. Items used up within your terror radius. Oh, that's mine. That's all it does right now. Affected survivor items are fucking increased by 100%. That's what this perk does. Okay, that's garbage. Okay, let's fix it. That's fucking garbage. My Overwhelming Presence is items used up within your terror radius are then consumed by the entity. So, you know, they would lose their items before they got that buff to keep them. Yeah, anything that's used up while they're in their terror radius is immediately consumed by the entity. Gone. Done. Then, any item usage gives off a noise notification to the killer, cooldown for 20 seconds. It would just help the perk lead you places and tell you where to go. So if those assholes are stupid and clicking their flashlights at each other like a bunch of retards, it'll tell you right where to go. Or if they're trying to rush a gen with the toolbox, you could get over there and stop them. It would just direct you a little bit more, tell you what they're doing with their items, let you know where their pressure, let them know what you. It would the perk multi-purpose because it would let them fucking. It would tell you where they might be healing, where they might be fucking on the gens, where they might be dicking around, where they might be using a map, where they work. It'll tell you, especially it might be decent on Trapper too. Might tell you what else is in this game. Yeah, like it'll let you do something. It'll let you actually. It'll actually give you a sense of direction, which is important. Which is important for a perk to do. Play with your food is next. I gave play with your food a Yeah, if they read a map, we can see them. Be kind of funny. I gave Play With Your Food a small, tiny buff. And the biggest issue with Play With Your Food is that it's a little slow. So, my buff for it was that you only lose a token when somebody is put into the dying state. That way, if you miss a shot with, like, Death Slinger, you would still keep your movement speed. Or again, it would bring back the clown thing, where it would bring it back on clown too. You would only lose a token when you put the survivor into the dying state. It not only would work with killers that it didn't work with before, but it would also like it would also It would work with killers. I had something to say here. It works with killers that it doesn't work with before, and it helps conserve the stacks. That's it. It conserves the stacks and makes the perk do something for a longer period of time. Yeah, it would punish greedy survivors. Of course it would. Fuck survivors. Always punish greedy survivors. So yeah, it's just a small buff. It's good as is though. TBH, it's a fine perk. Pop Goes the Weasels, obviously fine, especially after it's nerfed. Leave the fucking thing alone, bro. Predator, boys. Scratch marks left by survivors will spawn slightly, moderately, considerably closer together. Wow, guys. Predator's so good. Predator's so good, guys. It's so broken. You can see their scratch marks, cause they all spawn closer together, bruh. Except this can even be more confusing on some maps. Okay, so obviously Predator's bad. Here is what I would do to Predator. I think Predator only needs one change. You make it anti-stealth. Walking survivors leave scratch marks. Easy. Walking survivors also leave scratch marks. When a survivor is hit, the perk goes on cooldown for 60 seconds. That way you can't just, like, cheese it with it in a chase. If they try to, like, stealth you out in a chase or something, it still leaves that counterplay open. But it'll, like, if they can't just go hide behind a tree with their orb evasion perk, and then they'll save them. It'll be anti-stealth. You'll notice that a lot of my perks are also anti-stealth, anti-hide, because you don't need to hide. Kite. Work for your win, buddy. Survivors should be encouraged to work for their wins just as much as we're encouraged to work for our wins. Stealth is not the survivors working for their win. Claudette blending into a tree is not her working for her win. By making Predator be able to see scratch marks of people that are walking, it will just be it'll just be really decent at dealing with those lazy players that just try to hide in the corner. That's what I do to Predator. And again, whenever they get hits, it goes on cooldown. Rancor's fine, leave it alone. My next perk we have here is Remember Me. Remember the days when Remember Me was good? Remember when Remember Me was good? That's a weird sentence. Okay, so remember, or even show auras to survivors. That'd be interesting. But like, fucking Compound 21 was nerfed, and that showed auras for 16 meters. So what? So, yeah. Okay, so what does Remember Me do? Each time you hit your obsession, you increase the exit gate opening time by 4 seconds up to a maximum of 16. Obsession is not affected. You can only be obsessed with one survivor at a time. Okay. Okay, so the first thing you do is buff the number to make it 20 again. I think that's what it used to be, right? I don't know. Just buff it, give it a bit more time. Just give that thing a bit more time on the gate for 5 seconds, so a maximum of 20, and then just reveal the Obsession's aura when they're 5 meters from the gate. Since they're the ones who aren't affected by it, seeing them would be the most helpful. And then you could also, like, maybe hit them again and get the time up if it hasn't. I don't know, this perk used to be good, so you can't buff it that hard. Save the best for last is obviously really healthy and in a good spot, so that perk is absolutely fine and needs no adjustments. Shadowborn. Field of view increased by 15 degrees. Field of view gains don't stack. Okay, so here's the thing with Shadowborn, bro. Here's the thing with Shadowborn. I think we can all agree that Shadowborn should be a base perk. Shadowborn should be base. Everybody likes it. Like, there's not one killer in this community that does not like this perk. The problem with it, though, is that it's not worth a perk slot. It's not that it's not good. It is good. It's just not good enough. It's not a perk slot. You're not going to give up one of your 4 precious slots on this. So what you do to it is you make it base, because every killer likes it, and every killer wants it to be base. Make the damn thing base. Let us see things a little better, please. And now you have a dead perk slot. So now what do? You have a dead perk. So so obviously, you keep it to where it still does something with vision, because, okay. Yeah, so this one is made base, and now you have a new perk. What do we have to do? My idea was to make all the survivors' tops turn brighter within your, like... Yeah, the normal FOV is like 89 degrees, which is not even close to human FOV. But it's very limited first person. But yeah, my perk would be, like, all the survivors get brighter tops. Like you change the color, like when the killer runs Shadowborn, all the colors become much more bright than they are right now to get rid of stealth. To get rid of like Claudette's little red top, like that little pink top that she has. I think it's 89 degrees. It's not past 100. I know that. It's not past 100. So what you do is that, so like Claudette's pink top will turn hot pink instead of like it being barely visible. It'll turn hot pink. Which I think it'll be good for seeing her again, like just anti-stealth shit. Just make it so like the spectrum of colors, just make it so like their outfits blend into the environment a lot less, and then I think it would still be all right. And then the perk that we all want to be base will be base. Sloppy Butcher is perfect. Leave it alone. Spies from the Shadows. Am I the only one that hates this perk? Whenever I run Spies from the Shadows, the damn thing doesn't even work. I never get one bird notification from it. I get more bird notifications without running Spies than I do when I get it. Because, like, every good killer can just go, oh, I heard that bird. I'll go over to them. Yeah, Spies from the Shadows is garbage. Which is a shame because it used to work. It worked like a year and a half ago. It used to be really decent. But that patch where they gave it a cooldown made it not work anymore. I don't know what they did to it. The perk sucks now. Okay, so here is my buff for it. You keep that. You keep the effect it has right now. Fix it and make it work. Make the birds actually do something, and then you give it a secondary effect. That, you know, survivors get crows, right? They get crows eventually. Sometimes, maybe. You give that a timer. You give that crows. You give that crow timer 40 seconds, but you have to be doing the objective. All right, it's kind of like Freddy's sleeping. Like they have to be like just walking around from place to place doesn't count as doing the objective. So like if you don't touch a generator or not in a chase for 40 seconds, you get crows, and that's how it should be. Be good late game, because slug survivors would always get crows late game. It'd be super nice, I think. Obviously, that mechanic should just be base. The crow mechanic needs a rework anyway, but like you could put it on this perk and then the perk would be better. But the biggest buff you give Spies is just fix it. Fix the crows. Make them work. Make them work like they worked a year and a half ago, bruh. Spirit Fury is fine. Leave it as is. Strider. Fucking Strider, dude. Strider's trash because the sound doesn't work. So, wait, well, like the problem with when you ask me, what does Strider need to be good? How do we fix Strider? Well, sound doesn't work right now, so I can't really tell you what bass sounds are supposed to sound like, and then how Strider fixes them. So I kind of drew a blank here because sound doesn't work right now. You can't actually use grunts to find survivors because sound doesn't work. So the only thing I have written down here is that if the grunts of pain are not directional, make them directional. Because I was playing a game on one of the Azrov maps the other day, and I just couldn't tell what direction the sound was coming from. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but like, not with Strider, but like, because I don't run Strider, it's a piece of shit. But like, you can make it so that they're louder and more directional. Like, make the sound work behavior, please. Let me analyze Strider the way I want to. God damn. Surge. Whenever somebody gets put into the dying state with a basic attack for 32 meters, all gens explode and progress 8%, and only apply 40 seconds. The only thing this perk needs, just remove the cooldown. It's not good enough to have a cooldown. It's just straight up not good enough. So, just get rid of it. The effect is fine, it's just not cooldown worthy. Just remove that cooldown. Surveillance is fine, leave it alone. Ooh, gentlemen. Territorial imperative. What a piece of crap, bro. Can we just take a second? Can we just take a second to just... What's the cooldown of Surge? 40 seconds. It's not good enough to have that cooldown, I don't think. Territorial imperative, bro. Survivors' auras are revealed to you for 3 seconds when they enter the basement and you are more than 32 meters away from the basement's entrance. Territorial imperative can only be triggered once every 20 seconds. You could do that. Just make it... It's just not very good, though, as it is. So let me get this straight. Based on the cooldowns, they think that Territorial Imperative is half as good as Surge. Devs, what are you smoking? Okay, so Territorial Imperative has activation requirements and a cooldown for aura reveal for 3 seconds. What the fuck is this design? Like, this is some of the worst perk. This is probably single-handedly the worst design perk in the game. Okay, so let's go over this. Here is my Territorial Imperative. Once per game, so you know what I'm about to tell you is broken, because it has a once per game stipulation. When a survivor enters the basement and you're more than 32 meters away from the entrance, so we got the same activation condition and once per game. They give off a scream notification, and the basement is then blocked for 30 seconds. Only the killer may enter, and just to prevent your little head-on cheese, all survivors become exhausted for 30 seconds. So you can't just head-on us and escape for free and not get punished by Territorial Imperative. I was also considering giving them the exposed status effect too, but I figured that might be a little too much. But I have it as a question mark, as a thing of suggestion. Basically, the idea here is that you make one huge play and then you win the game off of it. Because it's basically basement hook the perk. Oh yeah, they're not gonna be though. But yeah, that's my Territorial Imperative. The entity blocks the basement, only the killer can go in. And then boom. All survivors exhausted. All survivors do be exhausted, and they can't. All they have to do is they have their own wits, bro. All Leatherfaces would salivate at that. So that's I think that's a pretty big buff, but it would be a really nice perk once a game, and basically it's just a free basement hook that a borrowed time could stop at worst and a game-winning play at best. So it's actually not bad. Combined with like Monster Shrine, you could yeah, that'd be my Monster Shrine at least. Not the game's monster shrine. That'd actually be very good. Tinker is fine, leave it alone. Thanatophobia, which was just nerfed and now needs a buff. What did I tell you guys about Thanatophobia? What did I tell you? They're not buffing Thana. They made it seem like they were going to buff that number way more than they did, so you'd shut up about it. I told you they'd be buffing it by 1 or 2%, and then when I did the math, I only took 1. And sure enough, only a 1% buff on Thanatophobia. Like, are you shocked? Don't be stupid, guys. Are you shocked? Of course they nerfed it. Of course they nerfed it, and they're going to leave it in a terrible state of obscurity and just have it be dead forever. Because that's what these devs do. They leave shit dead forever. What's up, Gomez Brothers? Okay, so for each... Here's what Thana does right now. For each injured, dying, or hooked survivor, survivors receive a stackable penalty of 5% to their repair and sabotage speeds to a maximum of 20%. My Thanatophobia, since it can now be countered by healing... Well, yeah, here's my Thana buff now is to give it the same numbers as Desperate Measures. That way, that gen, I already did the math. If you gave Thanatophobia the same amount of numbers as Desperate Measures, a generator now would take 125 seconds. About 67 seconds with, what's it called? Fucking... What's that damn perk called? No, it's not even a perk. Just 2 of them on a gen. Just 2 of them on a gen, the damn thing would be 67 seconds, which is still ludicrous with how much survivors can get it down. But just give it the same numbers as Desperate Measures. That's what I would do. Make the gens really bad. Not the same. You have to make them really bad. Thrilling Tremors, having a cooldown of 60 seconds with barbecue in the game. Thrilling Tremors, after picking up a survivor, all gens not being repaired by survivors are blocked and cannot be repaired for the next 16 seconds. Has a cooldown of 60 seconds. Remove the cooldown. It doesn't need it. With barbecue not having a cooldown, there's no excuse for this one to have a cooldown either. For real. Trail of Torment. With Trail of Torment's getting a buff I'm really interested in working with, so obviously you just leave it alone. So it's fine as is for right now. It might need buffed in the future, but right now it's fine. I want to see what that rework does. I want to see what that buff does. Unnerving Presence on Trapper. This is what I was a bit, I got stuck here because, like, the damn thing is so useless. Like, there's so many things you could do to it. No, okay, there's not, like, many things you could do with it at all. It's just such a bad canvas to work with. The first thing that you have to do... okay, just listen to this. Survivors within your terror radius have a 10% greater chance of triggering skill checks, and then the skill checks zones are reduced by 60%. Okay, so it just helps them because they can do great skill checks at the same, like, it just makes their great skill checks more accurate, so it actually helps good survivors do gens faster, which is not something you ever want to say about a perk. So, okay, that's trash. Just run Gearhead with it. Oh, right, bruh. There's a good combination. Terrible. So the very, very first buff you give this perk is make it effective size to strike again. The perk was actually good for something when it did that. So make it affect DS again. Make it so there's no longer an option to do great skill checks while you are in the killer's terror radius. That way it fixes the perk's biggest issue. And then the last thing you do is just make all gen and healing speed slower by 20% within the terror radius. That's the only thing I can think of to make it good or usable. Yeah, but Pop doesn't get the same protection, my guy. They'll protect DS, but not Pop. So that's the only thing I could think of for it. That's the only thing I can think of for this perk. It just regressed those gen speeds while they're in the terror radius. 3 perks left. Now I'm getting the hell out of here. Unrelenting. Unrelenting right now is the cooldown of your missed basic attack is reduced by 30%, okay? Lazy as fuck. My throat hurts, I need a drink. For every missed attack, here's my Unrelenting. My Unrelenting, instead of affecting, well, I mean, you could just add this effect onto it, or not, it doesn't matter. My Unrelenting is this. For every missed attack, you gain a token. Every token increases the killer movement speed by 2% with a maximum of 3 tokens. Upon hitting a survivor with a basic attack, lose 1 token. Simple, but effective. You can just whiff attacks on purpose, build, like your Dead Hard, those fucking Dead Hards can build up those tokens. That way you can get 6%. Stack with Play With Your Food, that's 11%, and then you can even stack with Furtive Chase and Fire Up. All of those movement speed buffs, perks that I've had, to be some weird gimmicky movement speed build, bro. Survivors would swear you're hacking. So think about that. 6 from this perk, 15 from Play With Your Food, like 5 more from Furtive Chase, and then 4 more from Fire Up. What would that be? 15 plus 6... 21% plus 4 from Fire Up. What is that? 25. So 6. Yeah, 15 plus 6, 21 plus 4 from Fire Up on the 4 gem would be 25%, and then from Furtive Chase with 5 tokens, that's 5 more. So that you'd be moving at what? 130. No, you would just get a, hold on. So 15 plus 6 from Unrelenting. This is just all the buffs I gave in my perks. So 15 from Play With Your Food, 6 from Unrelenting was 21. 4 from Fire Up, 25. So yeah, you would be moving at 145% movement speed as Legion. And then of course it would stack to all your power, so Bubba could move it like that'd be insanely good, bro. You could get to like you could get like the Billy Chainsaw speeds with Wraith with all that stacked. See, that'd be so cool. Of course, that would be max setup, so like it would never happen very much. But like, goddamn, that'd be really good. That'd be really good. Loot me now, bitch. I'm 150%. Ah, shit. 2 more. Whispers. This one's really easy, because Whispers is fine. Just leave it alone. The last perk I have here is Zashin Tactics, boys. Okay, listen to this shit. The auras of pallets, breakable walls, and vaults are revealed to you for within a range of 24 meters. When a survivor is damaged, Zashin Tactics goes on cooldown for 30 seconds. Okay. That's trash. It's just windows of opportunity for killers, right? Okay. Here's my Zashin Tactics, ladies and gentlemen. The aura of the closest window within 24 meters is revealed. So window only. By pressing the action button, the killer calls on the entity to block the window for 16 seconds. Perk has a cooldown of 80 seconds. So they're running towards the window, like the Killer Shack window with no pallet there, and trying to transition to a different tile. Boom, block it with Zashin Tactics. Down the guy, throw him in the basement. Perk goes on cooldown. The ability button will of course just be Dead Hard. So just press X for PlayStation users. It would just let you do a bamboozle without having the vault, and then the exchange is that you would go on cooldown. Whereas bamboozle doesn't have a cooldown, but you have the vault. Yeah, Hex Blood Favor synergy, bro. Go to the window, block it, everything just is a free down. Both perks would go on cooldown. It would do something. It would not be useless. The concept of a if there's anything that you've learned by watching this, is that the concept of a filler perk has got to go. Behavior has got to stop doing those. Every perk can be useful if you do something with it, and you try to tap into the potential of the idea that they're going for here. All this stuff would be really good if they put it in, and it would make the killer, it would transform the killer role, and like everything would be usable, everything would be good. Everything can be good if you work with it. Everything has potential to be better than it is right now. And of course, Well, yeah, we're not trying to break anything. We're just trying to take what's bad and make it usable. That's all we're doing with this. All we're doing with this. Okay, my fucking throat hurts, bruh, so I'm getting the hell out of here. Thanks for watching my massive rant today, boys. We'll be back with the Survivor one some other day. I'm almost done with that. Thanks, my man. You can watch the beginning as well. Because I know you came in through the mid. You can watch that beginning, my boy. I'm getting the hell out of here. My throat hurts. I feel like Oatsvara making a huge video like this on just a random night. GG's, lads.